Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Diaries. I'm announcing this off like this is like a legitimate TV show. Anyways, this is the podcast show for the average Joe. Ordinary people talking about extraordinary ideas and the things that we struggle with, we wrestle with. Today, I got my really good friend who I can't ever hang out with unless I invite her to a podcast.
That's not true. You come to my house.
That's very true. Amaris, ladies and gentlemen.
But I think, it's more like extraordinary people talking about ordinary things. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I feel kind of extraordinary sometimes.
Okay. I can believe that.
In my mind.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess when I think of extraordinary people, I guess I think of people just with more money than us.
Yeah, I don't have any of that.
Yeah, me either. Not yet. Maybe I do. Oh, I shouldn't say that. People have got to believe that like I'm a millionaire. I was just lying. I actually have millions of dollars. Yeah. Anyway, Amaris, thank you for being on today.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. So, I guess today I'm going to talk to you about your time as being a nomad, amongst other things. This is the first thing I want to start off with.
Okay.
So you, at some point, were living in your car. I think you told me that earlier.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How long? Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So it all goes back to I didn't grow up in the States. And coming back to the States, I had a very difficult time adjusting to being here and fitting in and...
Well, hold on real quick. When you say coming back to the States, what do you
Right.
mean? Like, where were you?
Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why were you in Germany?
We moved there when I was 9. My parents were missionaries, Southern Baptist missionaries.
Nice accent.
Thanks. And I moved back here. They wanted me to go to college, which I did not want to do because I really did not know what I was wanting to do with my life. So didn't really want to do that. So they sent me back anyway. So I moved in with my grandmother and they chose a college for me because missionaries can basically go for free. So I didn't get to choose where I was going or what I was going to, anything.
Yeah.
So I was just basically being told kind of what to do and didn't adjust well. Went to this college and did not, I could not make friends. And the girls were so different from all of my female friends in Germany and just, it was just not good. So I was there for probably a month and a half. And then I decided, I don't want to be here. And I just packed up my stuff and I didn't tell anybody. I just put everything in my car and I left.
Whoa. So you didn't even, like your parents didn't know you were doing this?
No.
So like, did they call the police and like file a missing persons report?
After 2 weeks,
How old
I
were you
think,
too? Like
18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after 2 weeks, if I'm remembering it correctly, somebody at the school called, I guess, whatever number they had on file, because my parents, they were here for a little while, but they were going back to Germany.
Yeah.
But anyway, they called the number on file and said, where's Amaris? She hasn't been to any classes. And they were like, what?
Oh
So
my
I was
gosh.
kind of like, for 2 weeks, nobody, this was before cell phones. Like, we didn't have cell phones.
Okay.
I just gave away my age, didn't I? Oh,
I mean,
anyway.
I don't know. Did you? I hope
I don't
not.
know. All right.
I don't care.
So
Well, cell phones haven't been around for that long, right? Well, they were in the 80s, but the giant cell phones.
yeah, but nobody,
Like the common cell phone, I feel like it
college
just
kids
came-
didn't, I mean, maybe in California, but not in Mississippi.
The common person didn't have like the general cell phone we have today until like, what is it, mid 2000s? I don't know.
Yeah, and this is back in the 90s. So
Okay.
Anyway.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
That's what I grew up on.
Perfect, though. Anyways, continue.
So I ended up one day thinking, I should probably call my sister and just let her know I'm okay. So I found a payphone and put my 50 cents in or 25 cents and called my sister. And she's like, you are in so much trouble. The cops are at your school. Mom and dad are looking for you. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, she's like, you need to get back to school right now. Where are you? And I think I was in Biloxi
Okay.
at the time. I don't
So
even remember.
Everybody else was in Alabama?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the college was in Mississippi, in Hattiesburg. So I drove back up, and normally you have to like show your ID and everything to get on campus. And they just they saw my car and they were like, come on in. Like people were waiting. Yeah, so I got in trouble. And yeah, but I basically told my mother that night. She stayed with me in my dorm, and I said, Mom, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't know what I want to do yet, but it's not this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to get out on my own and just see what's out there. And
Yeah.
I was like, so help me pack or leave. And that broke her heart. I broke my mom's heart. But, she helped me pack. And then the next morning I left. I didn't really know where I was going. Super long story short, I ended up coming back to Alabama for New Year's for a big party. And then after that, I decided I was going to Texas. So I called a friend that I graduated with in Germany, by the way. We graduated together in Germany. And I called her up and I was like, hey, like, so I'm just, doing nothing with my life. What are you doing? She's like, well, I have this job and it sucks. And she's like, why don't you just come pick me up? I was like, all right. So I drove out to Texas and I picked her up and we started living in my car. And we went from place to place, and people would let us crash in their apartments sometimes and could get a shower and stuff like that because, living in your car can be
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it can get a little rough.
Yeah.
But anyway, she ended up finding a group of people that she kind of went on with to California. So
like backpackers, hippies, what?
Just kind of lost people, I would say. Just like not really
Lost
knowing.
boys.
Just kind of people trying to find their way, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, so she split, and I didn't know what to do at that point. Like, where do I go next? And I just didn't want to go with that group. I just didn't mesh well with them. And so one girl was like, "Well, I need a ride home." I'm like, "Oh, well, where do you live?" Kansas. Okay. So she hopped in my car, and I took her back to Kansas, and then I ended up staying in Kansas for a while. And then my friend who took off with the other group got in touch with her and wanted me to, she's like, I want to come back. So anyway, she ended up back with me in Kansas, where she is still to this day.
Okay.
She never left. She ended up having babies there. And
all right. She's settled in.
Yeah. So, but I just, for 8 months, just kind of drove around doing whatever, meeting a ton of people. That's how I met the Rainbow Family.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
The Rainbow Family?
Yeah.
A group of people.
Is that a cult?
Some people call it a cult.
It was a cult. She's in a cult, ladies and gentlemen.
Some people would probably call it that. No, it's just a group of people who have their own way of life, and this particular group was way out in the woods. Yeah. And that's where they lived.
They're called the Rainbow what?
The Rainbow Family.
The Rainbow Family.
Yeah. So
it sounds like a maybe like the homosexual movement thing. Rainbow, right?
Okay, but it's not.
Right now, a gay person's like, oh, what? What did he say?
No, it's not.
Just saying. I'm not making fun of anybody.
It's just a bunch of loving, good, nature-loving, just kind of real people that just do life differently.
Yeah. That
just didn't buy into the whole, this is our society and this is the way we have to live.
There's a book and then also a movie based off the book. I don't know if is it called Into the Wild, or it's got Emil Hirsch in it. Do you know what I'm talking about? But it's based on it's a story about a guy in the early 90s, like in 92, and he graduated with honors. He was like a 4.0 GPA, and he got it accepted into some of the highest schools that you could pay money for his intelligence or something. I don't know the full story, but he ended up just one day just being like, you know what, I don't want to do this, and he did exactly what you did. He just left. He cut up his credit cards and threw away all of his stuff, and he wanted to travel and just get out and get into adventures and see the world. And he didn't want to wear a suit and tie and go to college and all this other stuff. And he was like a genius. And there's a movie based off of it. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. I haven't seen it. It's got Emil Hirsch. He's the guy that played Speed Racer, for anybody who's wondering. He also played in Dogtown and Z-Boys. I'm trying to think of what else. He was in that movie, The Girl Next Door. Which is a bad movie. But anyways, yeah, it's and it's based off of a book, and so the guy he just travels all over North America. But he was this super genius. Like I said, he graduated with honors and he got into the best schools you could think of or whatever, and it just wasn't for him. He had this huge career and future to make a lot of money and have a lot of status, and he just didn't want it. And he went to school all those years, and he was like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Did he have money when he traveled? Did he?
No, I don't think so. He went around and he did odd jobs for people. He'd work on a farm and people would pay him, or he'd work. He just got into different things like that, and he saved up food. And I haven't seen this stuff in a while, the movie in a while. So I would definitely recommend watching it or reading the book. It's based off of the book.
Well, you could bring it over to the house.
Yeah, I might do that.
Our next get together.
And so I know you don't movies or it's TV shows.
It's TV shows,
Sorry.
yeah.
But out of anything that you would like, I feel like this movie would speak to you really, really well.
I'd probably like that.
It's really, really, and it's based off of a true story. Like this was a real human being. I think he was from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Yeah. So I'll have to check that out. It's you doing that. There's something like me sitting here listening to it. Like some other people might listen to this and be like, "Oh, well, that's crazy. Why would you want to do that? That's not the way to live life." How do you know though? I feel like it's the freedom there. Like when I sit there and think about it, just the idea, I'm probably not going to do it, but if I was like at a different point in my life right now, I probably would because the adventure of it all, right?
It was really adventurous. Like
Somebody would
it was you never knew what was going to happen during the day. You never knew who you were going to meet, where you were going to end up at night, anything like that. And Jenny, my friend, was in with me in the car she wasn't with me the whole time. So there was a good stretch where I was by myself in the car. And that can be a little rough. Like it's a lot more fun when you have
human contact.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you have somebody with you. Yeah. So I will say that. But then there's always, the downside of everything where cleaning up in public restrooms is not fun. And, you do miss certain things about having a home that, the convenience of some things. And
yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the freedom, like there's no schedule, there's no clocks, you don't have to look at your watch or your cell phone, like you just do whatever. I don't know. There's something beautiful about that, I think. And I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, it's even more crazy for you to do it because you're, a lady. You're this little petite little woman and you're going off doing that. And that could be a big scary thing there, right?
Well, I was always told I have a very rebellious spirit. I didn't like to think of
total
it.
Punk rock.
No, I didn't like to think of it as rebellious. I just like to think of it as I have a mind of my own and I don't agree with life as it is in a lot of places. And why can't I just create my own reality or my own life or whatever?
Well, you didn't want to conform. You're a non-conformist. Just like me, like you didn't want to like be turning something gaudy or like something that somebody else is doing, which is nonconformity is an adjective of punk rock.
Yes, it is.
That's really cool. So did you ever get into a situation that was like sketchy or dangerous? So let's hear about that.
Oh, no, I don't know if you want to hear about that. I don't know if I want to talk about that.
Oh, well.
I had some situations where I was very grateful that I got out of it before something worse happened. Okay. And because you can't trust everybody. Like you want to, like I just had the spirit, like, I love people and you can trust me. And I'm like we were talking before, I'm honest to a fault, and everything. And I just thought, well, everybody's like that, right? Everybody is this great, this loving and kind. No, they're not. No, they're not. So it just took me a while to realize you cannot trust everybody. And I don't have that gut feeling of being able to like feel people out and know how they really are. I just don't have that. Like, you do. Talked about that. You have that. I just don't have it. So I'm just like, I'm kind of like a puppy. I trust everybody.
Then you get nervous, you pee. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me about this later though, off the record.
Yeah.
If you want. Maybe, you don't have to. I don't want to pressure you. I don't want to bully her. Somebody's like, he's bullying that sweet young lady. So when did you finally, I don't know if, did you say this earlier? Like when did you come back to reality? Or not reality, but when did you like check back into normal life again?
I got sick. And I didn't have a choice.
What was the sickness?
Malnutrition from not eating, not always having food. And then an infection had spread in my body. And
is it staph?
No. And anyway.
We'll talk about that later too.
A friend took me to the hospital. It's like, she's homeless, and just dropped me off there. Did not stay with me. But if you're homeless, terrible. You don't have to pay a bill or anything. And I was homeless. I lived in a car. I didn't have a home.
Really? So you don't have to pay bills if you're homeless?
Right. So at least in Kansas. But I don't know about here.
I know where to backpack then.
Yeah. So I got sick, really, really sick. And then someone, a man, older man who had, I think, I don't remember which. Vietnam, I think it was. Like he had PTSD really bad and just, I can't remember if it was like one of his eyes or something was a prosthetic. I don't remember the whole thing because, this was a long time ago. But he took me in, and then he ended up calling my parents in Germany and saying, your daughter is very sick and somebody needs to be taking care of her. And anyway, he set it up to where they got me a plane ticket, and I was basically put on a plane and went back to Germany. And it was like the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to be back in Germany really bad. I wanted to be there. I missed it. But seeing my parents after leaving college and like going out on my own for 8 months and not calling anybody during that time. And, very few times did anybody ever hear from me family-wise. So I was just terrified to get off the plane. And all of my belongings had dwindled down to like one tiny little bag. That's all I had left. So I get off the plane and in Frankfurt, and I just remember I just had my head down. I could not even look up. I was just looking at my feet.
How old were you at this point?
I was about to turn 19. It was like a week before I turned 19, I
So
think.
you did the whole kind of nomad thing for like a year almost, not quite.
Yeah. And so I'm walking, looking at my feet, and all of a sudden I see like this huge, like colorful thing come up in my face. I'm like, what is this? And I look up, and it's this huge bouquet of flowers, and my parents are standing right there.
Aw, that's so sweet.
And I'm thinking, what are they going to do to me? And they just there's tears, and they're like hugging me. And I thought they were going to
But they had flowers.
And I'm like, it was just the opposite of what I was expecting. It was like the prodigal girl comes home,
Yeah.
But it was like just like in the Bible, in the parable, where it's like, even when the son was really, really far off, his dad saw him and he like started running towards him or whatever, that kind of thing. And they acted like that, and I didn't expect it. And so I was like, wow. And I cried.
I bet.
I did.
want to
I
cry
cried.
now just listening to this. That's, wow.
Yeah. So I went back to Germany, and I ended up, again, long story short, ended up getting a job there in an apartment and staying there
In Germany?
for a while.
What part of Germany were you in?
So about
have some German friends, that's what I'm
45
asking.
minutes away from Frankfurt. Just outside of Frankfurt.
Now, a little side note. You living in Germany all these. How many years did you live in Germany total in your whole lifetime? Would you say?
I'm not good at math. I think 11.
11.
We'll go with 11.
Now you are bilingual.
Yes.
Like you can speak German and English, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most days I can. Yeah.
So speak some German for me.
Also ich habe in der Nähe von Frankfurt gewohnt, aber so Wetzlar. Und da ist noch ein ganz kleiner Kaff, das heißt Hüttenberg-Rechtenbach. Und da habe ich am meisten gewohnt, glaube ich. In Wetzlar war ich vielleicht 2 Jahre, aber Rechtenbach war mein Zuhause.
Matt, what did she say? I'm just kidding. He doesn't know German. What did you say? What did you just say?
I was just talking about where I lived, the different places that I lived there, different towns.
Yeah, so Annie and Daria, if you're watching this, I don't know what she said, so you can tell me later if she was correct. I'm kidding. I have these 2 friends that are the German, so that's awesome. Teach me how to speak some German. I don't know how to speak German. I don't know how to say 9.
Well, that's good. That's a start.
No, that's all I know.
Say, ich bin ein Junge.
Ich bin
Ein Junge.
Ich bin ein
Junge.
Junge.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Junge.
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 It starts with a J, by the way, because a J makes the Y
Ich
sound.
bin ein Junge.
Ich bin ein Junge.
Ich bin ein Unja.
What do you
making me say?
It's kind of funny because you almost do it with like a Vietnamese accent in German, and Gwen tells me that when I speak Spanish, I do it with a German accent instead of an English accent.
Well, so it's not even just Vietnamese. Like a lot of the Asian races is all about the tonality of the way you speak, and so with just about any Asian language, that's kind of how that works. So
that's how it
usually
sounded,
if I'm
though.
trying to pronounce something else, that's what'll end up happening. But what are you trying to get? What is that? What is that?
I'm a boy.
I'm a boy.
You said I'm a boy.
I'm a man, Amaris.
Okay, ich bin ein Mann. You say ich bin ein Mann.
Ich bin ein Mann. Ich bin ein Mann. What else can I say that's cool? How do I say I'm the greatest human being to ever live?
Ich bin ein Penner.
Somebody's gonna watch this like, he really is so full of himself, or maybe just has a funny sense of humor. Who knows?
You can say ich bin ein Penner.
Ich bin ein Penner.
Penner.
Penner. Ich bin ein Penner.
And you let your friends translate that for you.
Ich bin ein Pinna. What am I
Pinna.
saying? What are you making me say right now?
I'll let
That's
them
weird.
translate it for you.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm going to be embarrassed. They're going to make fun of me. They like to, especially Daria. She's a kickboxer. She likes making fun of me because she can beat me up. Oh man. So obviously you're not, it's funny because when I found out that you were bilingual and you lived in Germany, I thought that you were in fact German. But so are you?
No.
You're not German. Do you have like any ethnic backgrounds outside of just being white?
Yeah, I'm pretty white.
I don't know. You got a
think,
good tan on you right now.
actually, yeah, this is about as tan as I get, sadly.
Oh.
But when I was little, I had freckles everywhere. Just, oh my goodness, freckles all over my shoulders and my arms and my face. And my dad used to call me Freckles Frickenmeyer. No joke.
Frickenmeyer from Frankfurt.
He used to call me that before we ever went to Germany, before we ever even knew we were going to end up there. That's what he used to call me when I was little. I was covered in freckles. Yeah, I forgot what your question was.
I was asking you what like your other if you have any other ethnic backgrounds besides
yeah.
general, like.
All right, so my mom's side of the family, like my grandmother on that side, there's a lot of like Native American there, which I did not get
really
at all.
I was about to say I can kind of see it. Get the cheekbones.
You can
going,
see it in
the
my
hair.
cousins. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can see it in them, but not in me. And then on my dad's side, which I take after my dad's side of the family, from what I know, like English and I think Scottish.
Okay.
So, but that's all I'm really aware of.
No, that's
So,
not, that's
yeah,
not that's
not
not
really
interesting.
interesting.
Amaris.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Should have made something up.
And in case anybody's wondering, she was talking about me speaking it with a Vietnamese accent. So I am part Vietnamese and French, and that's my ethnic background. In case anybody was wondering, but you probably weren't. People are gonna watch this and be like, "What is going on here? What kind of show is this?" Oh my gosh. All right. So you came back. They have the flowers. It's an emotional moment. They welcome you with open arms, something you didn't expect, and then you got a job. And then what happens? What's the next couple of years look like after this? You're just in Germany hanging out?
Just in Germany, hanging out, just living and having fun. And then
I got to ask this question because somebody told me this. So German beer, like nothing compares to German beer. Is that true?
I
So
would
it's like
agree
the best
with
beer
that.
ever.
I
Not-
would.
Like the United States doesn't even touch it, but even in like other parts of the world in Europe, like German beer is the beer to go to.
I mean, I haven't had beer from everywhere in the world, but German is definitely my favorite from what I've had. Yeah.
Why is it? What makes it so good? What do they put in there?
Something good. I don't know. But my favorite is Franziskaner. Franziskaner.
Franciscana.
Yeah.
See, when I say the words, I want to pronounce them the same way too. So I don't want to just say Franciscana. Whatever you just said. I don't know what you said.
But they'll take that. And
What
not
kind of beer is
everybody
it?
will. It's a Hefeweizen. So they'll take that and banana juice, and you mix banana juice with it.
Banana juice.
Yes. And then
I've
it's
never
called
heard.
Bananenweizen.
Bananenweizen.
And that is delicious.
Wow.
Those are real treats. Like if you, yeah, we make those at my house sometimes. I can't always find banana
Never
juice, but
made
I'll
me
make
one
my
of those.
own.
I want one right now. We're gonna stop the show. She's gonna make me
They're
a
good.
Bananenweizen. I don't
Yeah.
know if I just said that right. We'll be right back. No, I'm kidding. So, when did you and the family move back to the States, or did you move back, or how did all that work out?
I came back
You
by
came back
myself.
by yourself.
Yeah. Came back by myself.
Where did you stay?
Where did I stay?
And why did you come back?
I fell in love
Oh.
with an American soldier.
Ooh,
And I actually thought he was
classic
German
story.
when I saw him.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird because he had a shaved head, like completely shaved. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
and he dressed, because he wasn't in uniform. I went to the same club every weekend, and it was kind of like a hard rock type club. It was like a lot of Pearl Jam and Deftones
Nice.
and Slipknot and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And then we would just go dance every weekend. And
You can dance to Slipknot?
Yes, you
I want you
can.
to show me later when the show's over. I'm going to show me this.
So he was there one night, and a new face. He'd never been there before, with a couple of his buddies, and they all had these like shaved heads, kind of look like skinheads,
Sure.
and just dressed kind of, rock or whatever. And I just thought, ooh, he's so cute.
Of course.
And so I approached him actually and spoke German to him. And then, yeah, realized he wasn't German. He was an American soldier there. And then I thought, well, that's safe because he won't be here forever. So that'd be a good, like, little fling or something like that. And
Okay.
yeah, but I fell kind of hard for him.
Yeah.
And he was the reason I left Germany.
Yeah. Did you feel like he was like is he like a bad boy? Are you one of those girls that's into bad boys? Why is that a thing?
I was along, like, maybe teenage years, but then I think I kind of grew out of that. And
Yeah.
not so
Yeah,
much.
you grew out of that. You just go after these like vanilla guys.
Well, now you just kind of realize that the bad boys are like kind of bad to you a lot of the times too. It's like not a good. Doesn't play out.
Why? So,
too well.
I mean, what's the dynamic there? Why do girls like bad boys? Why is that? Somebody told me that once that I was a bad boy.
You?
Yeah, that's what I heard. You don't think I'm a bad boy?
Well, I don't know what you were like when you were
I'm
younger.
vanilla.
I
gotta do something. Where's my leather jacket? I need a gun. I'm gonna go pick a fight with somebody real quick.
Okay.
What?
You were
okay, go.
okay. All right. I don't know, like bad boy, like
This is because I got these nerdy glasses on. My buddy Holly glasses. He's not a bad boy. He's a nerd. He's a dork.
You are wearing a Radiohead shirt, though.
I am wearing a radio. I love Radiohead.
It's all ripped up.
It is. See?
Yeah.
I just got my tattoo showing. I'm such a bad boy.
Well, I don't know what makes a bad boy. Like, back when we were teenagers, the boys that smoked and cussed and drank and like, just kind of cool, and they seemed like they had a lot of confidence or whatnot, that kind of thing. But
when I was younger, I mean, I didn't really smoke. I drank and I stole and I've gotten fights and went to like punk rock shows. So
maybe you were considered a bad boy to some people, maybe.
So what do you consider me? I'm not a bad boy. What am I to you? I'm heckling you right now. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
What are you to me?
I'm your buddy.
You're an artistic.
You said artistic, right? Not autistic. It's okay. You don't have to cut that out, Matt. Just leave it in there. It'll be all right.
You are an artistic, soulful.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Soulful. I love that because I've always prided myself in saying that I feel like I've got soul power. Soul.
Good. These mean beautiful soul, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I hope.
You should have looked at it. You didn't look at the calligraphy. Like I would have looked that up for you. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, they were like one of my first tattoos.
I knew this girl that got one of those, and she was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" She was like, "Oh, it means hope or courage or something like that." And then my buddy, who well, he's more of an acquaintance. I wouldn't say he's a buddy because I haven't talked to this individual probably in like 7 years. But he knew that because he was studying it. He was studying those glyphs or whatever, and he was like, "Oh no, that means rabbit or something like that." And she was like, "What? No." And then he like pulled up his phone or something, or he had a book. I don't remember. And he was like, "Yeah, look." And she was like, "Oh my God!" And she freaked out. And then like, yeah.
Yeah, you never know though, really.
Yeah.
The one on the back of my arm, though, and an Asian man walked up to me in a store one day, and he was reading it, and it actually means what I hoped it did. Okay. So that's good. But I don't know about these. What does
this work? Let's show your work off here. So those two things you said mean what now?
Beautiful soul.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah.
Okay, and then on your arm here.
So I've got a dragon and an angel who has a chain. And in Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 and 2, the angel binds the mighty dragon with a chain, and he locks him in the abyss.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where that came from.
Is that the significance? Because that's an Asian dragon right there.
Actually, if you look at it, because it's got wings, it's an Asian dragon with wings, which is not
wings.
Like, I was told that's not like really like a thing, but I asked him to add the wings to it because I just like it.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Like my tattoo is I am Asian part. And my tattoo is based off of a statue that a really old friend had given me. This old, beautiful, it's like a red statue of an Asian dragon with like a black wash on it, and it was so beautiful. And I was like, man, I would love that to be on my body. And so I was collabing with the artist, and I was like, yeah, but I want bird wings on it. I wanted it to be like really eclectic, and plus I think I saw a piece of art that had there's like some story in the Asian folklore where there's like the koi and it turns into the dragon and the dragon sprouts wings and then the wings are like bird wings or something. I don't know the story, and so I was like, oh, I want bird wings on there. So
That's cool.
I used to have an action figure, actually, that was an Asian dragon that had like a beard and it had the bird wings and stuff like that. Recently have sold that thing, but yeah,
You sold it?
I did.
Oh.
I still have the statue though. I just don't
Okay.
have the action figure that had like the
cool.
bird wings. Yeah.
Cool.
So, why did you want to get that? You like Asian stuff?
I do actually. I
you?
really do.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I like half of him. Funny story. Somebody I knew once upon a time, somebody I dated. Anyway, she's Asian, and the first time she met me, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Vietnamese," and I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm part. My mom's from Nha Trang. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. If anybody's Vietnamese watching that, it's Nha Trang, Nha Trang, Nha Trang. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a city that's right outside of Saigon, and I was telling her that she's like, she just didn't know the city, and she was like, "That's not a real place. You're not half. This is literally. I just met her for the first time. She's like, "You're not half." She's like, "Because I know a lot of half breeds, and you're definitely not them." She was like, "I feel like you're probably like Italian or something." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I am part French." I was like, "But no, I really am.
You don't look Italian to me.
Okay. What do I look like to you?
You look like you're part Asian to me.
Really?
That's what I thought when I first saw you,
You're the
though.
first person that's ever said that. Well, yeah, you're the second person. The other person that said that was a small Vietnamese kid. Or he wasn't small, he was like 13. He was like, "Oh yeah, you look like you might be mixed. Like your mom's like Asian or your dad." I was like, "Oh yeah." Yeah.
No, I've been to Italy, and I don't.
Well, that's it, because you've been to Italy.
You don't look Italian to me.
You've been to Italy.
So there you go.
Sweet. Well, anyways, this is what she said. This is what the Vietnamese girl said to me. She was like, "Yeah, I feel like you're like Italian or some kind of European or something." And I was like, "Yeah, I do get that a lot." I was like, "But no, I'm part Vietnamese." And she was like, "Okay, whatever." And then later on we started dating, and then we had a conversation about that later. And she's like, "No," she's like, "I couldn't believe it when you showed me a picture of your mom and all that stuff." Or I was listening to you talk to your mom on your phone. And she was like, "I was blown away." She was like, "Because I completely thought you just made that up because you're trying to hit on me." I was like, "Oh, I was 100% trying to hit on you." But I was actually like telling the truth, And so, anyway, that's that. So tell me about the other tattoo. What's that? What is that?
Okay. So this one right here, nothing less.
Is that a tree or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing less goes back to me wanting to be and do nothing less than what God wanted me to be or do. And the tree, I just love trees, but the roots going down in things that are pure and good and God and everything like that. When that happens, then you produce fruit.
Okay.
So, or flowers or whatever.
Very cool. And then there's this thing on your forearm here.
Yes. So I go.
Coordinates.
Yes, it is, to a house in Mexico that I helped build for a family. So.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And
Yeah.
so you put the coordinates down there because
it's a story that I never want to forget. Like, it's an experience.
Tell the story. Let's hear it.
Gosh. Okay.
Let's hear it.
So I don't remember how many years ago this was, maybe 6. My youngest was too young to go. She was not potty trained, and I was not taking her on a mission trip with those kind of issues. So,
okay, so
I
this
left
was
her
a
at home.
missions trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was me and my oldest daughter, and we went with the church we were going to at the time. And the first day that we were in Mexico, the guy that kind of heads it up, his name is Roy, he was telling everybody, like, you're going to connect with people this week, and you're going to connect specifically probably with one person, and it's going to be like, the Holy Spirit's going to be there. And I was like, it just really overwhelmed me to hear that. I was like, that's not going to happen for me. And no, and I don't really want that. And, that kind of connection or anything. It kind of terrified me. And, so the first day we're there, he looks at me, picks me out of like the whole group, and he's like, "I want to show you something." And I was like, "Okay." So he takes me down like into this hole. Like, this whole place is on this canal in Reynosa, like right outside like the city of Reynosa. And it's just like the slums for as far as you can see. Like, just these people had no electricity, no water, like nothing. And their houses were literally just anything they could find, and putting it together with anything they could find. And so he takes me down into this hole, and there's this little shack down there. And he knocks on the wall, because there wasn't really a door. So he knocks on the wall, and this woman comes out, and he's talking to her and like, can I bring her in, and she's like, okay. So it was kind of awkward, like, can I just come into your shack? It's kind of awkward. So she had 3 kids, and her and her husband and the 3 children lived in this tiny little shack. And I was looking up, and I saw holes everywhere, and the floor was dirt, and there was rocks like this big all over the floor, and the kids had no shoes. And it was just, I'm just looking at all of this thinking, this is just like so far from our reality in life. Like, and I was so glad my kid was with me to see it. And she's right in between the 2 daughters' ages. So it was like boom, boom, boom. So the 3 of them like took off and had fun and whatnot. And so he's showing me this, and I was like, well, what do they do when it rains? And he goes, they get wet.
Okay.
Like, yeah. And the floor turns to mud, and it struck a chord with me for sure. And there was something in that woman's eyes, like this, I'm not even sure I can put words to it, but there was something there where I just thought, man, she didn't look happy. She just looked completely empty. Most everybody I met on the canal, no matter their situation, they had so much joy and so much like sharing everything. And not that she didn't, she cooked for us and she did all this stuff, but there was just something that looked different with her than anybody else there. Okay. And she, like, we weren't really there for them. We were building a house like a half mile or so, or a quarter mile or something down the road. And so we went and did that all week, and that was an amazing experience. That was really cool. But she like kept coming to my mind over and over and over. The very last day we're there, like, I still did not have the courage to go talk to her or anything, but it was like I knew that I was supposed to. Very last day, this guy comes out and announces, hey, everybody, we're leaving in 30 minutes. Everybody needs to say their goodbyes. And it's like, oh, if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. I'm always going to wonder what would have happened if I'd had a conversation with her. So I don't speak Spanish, not really, not enough to have like a real conversation. And she didn't speak any English. So I grabbed a translator, and he walked down there with me, and I said, just, he's like, well, just talk and I'll translate, but look at her. Don't look at me. It's like that weird, so I'm looking at her, and I'm talking, and I'm just, kind of pouring my heart out a little bit. And I was reading something out of my Bible, and I don't remember now what that was. And then I just told her, I want to pray for you. And so he was translating the prayer. So I'm praying, and it's like all of a sudden I said, like, it just came out without thinking, I just said, and God's going to give you a new house soon. And the translator stopped, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I don't even know where that came from. Like, I was like, do what you want. If you don't want to translate, I don't know. And he did. And she looked at me, and we just like, and it was a moment of just like pure, like nobody spoke. And it was just so awkward and weird. And I'm thinking, I really blew it. Like, I just blew it. So I say goodbye to her, hugged her. There were tears all the way around everybody. Like, we didn't even want to leave. And I told Roy, I said, when you build their house, tell me. I want to come. Let me know ahead of time. I want to be here. I want to help build their house. And he goes, Amaris, they're not even on the list. I said, I don't care. I was like, if it's 2 years from now or whatever, just, message me, whatever, let me know. He's like, okay, I promise I will. So each group goes like once a year. That's it. Well, I just kept thinking, like, I got to go back soon. Like, I want to go in November, which would have been 6 months away. And I didn't have the money to go again. And so I was thinking, okay, if this is like God telling me that I need to go, then he's going to provide the money. So I had to put my trust in that. So I get emotional talking about it. Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's good. You're good. It's the Wrestling Diaries, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's about.
All right.
Continue, please.
So I just had it on my heart like the whole time. Like, I have to go back. I have to go back. So I asked the guy that leads it up at our church. I was like, is there no way that we can go back? He's like, we only do it once a year. He's like, I can get you to piggyback maybe on another group. I was like, okay, try that. So he found a group, some people that he actually knew personally that were going to be going the week of Thanksgiving. And he's like, you sure you want to go and leave your family for Thanksgiving? Like, is that what you want to do? And I'm like, I have to go that week. I can't explain it. I have no words. Like, I have to go. And he's like, all right. So he set it up for me. and this group stopped. They were from Gadsden, I think, and they stopped close to Birmingham. And at a gas station, I met them there, and I got on the van with them and didn't know anybody at all.
But that wasn't weird for you at all, though, right?
No, not really, because you know,
right.
Yeah. So I go, and when I get there, Roy's there, and he looks at me, and he's just like, Amaris. I'm like, Roy. You know? And this is like this look in his face. He goes, honey, he said, you're never going to believe this. And I was like, what? He goes, all of our plans have changed. Things got shifted at the last minute, and I didn't contact you because I didn't think that you would be able to put this together. He goes, but guess whose house we're building? And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way. And he's like, yeah, that's what we're doing this week. He's like, he goes, we just decided this, and I didn't think that I could get you here in time. He's like, you being here. He's like, I can't believe you're here. You being here is like a miracle.
Wow.
And that week, it rained like almost every day. It was cold. It was the only week there in Mexico that it was cold. Like, it was miserable. And for the conditions, you know, to be building a house in that, you know, in the mud and everything. But we did it. And then at the last day when we were done, they were like, oh, everybody's like, yay, we're done. And they went back to the safe house. And I stayed behind, and I thought, I was just, you know, the family hadn't seen the house yet. You know, we weren't going to like dedicate the house until the next, either at the end of that day or the next day. So they were still down in their little hole in their shack. And I was just looking at the floor going, I want to sweep the floor. Like it just had, you know, debris and dust and just everything on the floor. And it's a concrete floor, you know. So I found a broom, and I came back, and I'm sweeping, and the oldest daughter comes inside of the house, like her seeing it for the first time. And it's only a 24 by 12 house, right? And the kids have a loft at the top for them, and then the parents have the bottom with, you know, whatever. And her reaction, like that moment in my life, like I never want to forget. Somebody having so much appreciation and so much joy and so much amazement in a 24 by 12 house that was really just some walls and a ladder going up to a loft and a couple of windows and a door. No air, no electricity, no water, no nothing. It's just basically a floor and some walls and a roof. And her reaction to that, like, I just, you know, I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. And she was laughing and sobbing at the same time. It was like joy and she just couldn't. It was just amazing. And so, yeah, that was a moment in my life where I thought, this moment has changed me. And I just don't want to forget.
That is a very, very powerful story. It's very beautiful. I feel like even somebody watching this, even if they're not a person of faith or they're not a believer, and that's fine, like, how could you not be moved by something like that? That is like, that's magic. That's a miracle. That's wonderful. And so that's why you have that tattoo.
Yeah.
And that's the coordinates of the home. Do you, I guess, do you still keep in contact with this?
Yes. Yeah. So we still support them and everything.
Okay.
They, you know, things have been rough there right now. I actually just met with Roy and his wife, Rebecca, last week. So they were in Birmingham, and they contacted me and said, hey, like last minute, like, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, I have dinner in the oven. Are you hungry? Where are you? So we ended up meeting like out towards 280. And we stood in a parking lot for 2 hours just catching up. And Rebecca was telling me that they've been having a rough time lately and everything. But it's just, you know, it's the situation that's all across the world right now. And it's, you know, in their conditions, it's even that much more difficult. And with the whole social distancing thing, people don't want to go help right now. People don't want to travel. They don't want to go into Mexico right now and like do this stuff.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. It's it's a really weird, tough time that we're living in right now. There's so much stuff going on. There's just all this craziness. And what makes me sad is a lot of the stuff that's going on is like, if you look at it, it's all about division. Like, it's dividing us. And then you can argue whether it's a conspiracy theory or whatever, but regardless of what it is 100% this divisive thing that's happening to divide people. And my whole point of like putting the show together is about how we need to connect as human beings. Like, we need connection. I'm in this class, this academy right now, and I've met so many wonderful people from all around the world. And the thing that I've noticed is that we have a lot of commonality between us. Like there's a lot, and I never knew this. I don't have the luxury of having a lot of friends from all around. I know some Vietnamese people, and I know a couple French people as far as like my own background goes, but I don't have the luxury of having people from around the world to really talk to, you know? And I feel like perspective is one of the one of the biggest things in life that is missing from people, especially in this country, right? Because you were just talking about, all they had was walls and a floor, but they were so happy. They were just like, they could have danced on their tippy toes about it, right? And then you come back to this country and they're pissed because, like, I don't know, their grass doesn't look very, very good, or their I don't know, their kitchen light went out or something, and they throw a hissy fit and they freak out, and then you never like step back and really think about like what else is going on in the world, because if you step out of yourself for a second and you find perspective, then it humbles you and it makes you feel like you're blessed or you're fortunate. Because and I always try to do this too. If I'm ever having and anybody can do this, if you're ever having a bad day, right, no matter what it is, I don't care what it is, you can do this challenge. You stop and think about, what is something that's way worse that's happening on the regular somewhere else, anywhere in the world right now? I mean, there's people dying, people being tortured, people are in prison for no reason, kids are starving to death. I mean, like, if you really start thinking about that stuff, first world problems should not exist, in my opinion. Like, it shouldn't exist. Like, if it takes you an extra 20 minutes to get your Starbucks coffee, so?
Right.
It's people that don't even have, they're not even drinking water right now, right as we speak. You got to think about that stuff, and stop being an asshole. Sorry, but
no, it'll definitely change your perspective.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this is why I love you, Amaris, just because I don't want to say you're a child of the world. That seems kind of cliche, but you've been around, so you have multiple narratives to look at.
I've only seen a fraction of the world, though.
Yeah, but compared to the average person, you definitely have a better vision for this than like a lot of people.
I wish,
especially a lot of people that I know anyway.
I've always said, like, if I had a lot of money, I would travel and go to the places I haven't seen, but not just to see the places, like to really, really get to know the people, because it seems like every country and their people, they're stereotyped. Mm-hmm. And like, every time somebody finds out, like, I'm from, well, not from Germany, but I grew up there and speak German, and they have this, like, perception of Germans being like grouchy and angry and like, just rude,
overly
and
aggressive,
like rude. And that is so not true.
Yeah.
Like,
what
it
are
is
Germans
not
like?
True.
I know German who's she's kind of quiet and mousy and sensitive. And she's also an ex-kickboxer.
I believe just from growing up with them, and I went to a German school, so I was with them. I wasn't just, like, I saw them at the grocery store or something. Sure. No, I lived with them.
Yeah.
And they are extremely deep in their thoughts. They think things through. They play hard and they work hard. Like, they really work hard. And they also know and understand the importance of like taking time for yourself and connecting with nature and getting out and doing things. And I'm not saying that other countries don't do this. I'm just saying that, there's a misperception about Germans a lot of the time. And I don't like, they are very honest. You don't pass a German in the hallway and say, "Oh, how are you doing? Good. How are you doing? Great. Okay, have a good day." That's not the conversation that happens. That's more of an American thing. If you stop a German in the hallway or pass them in the hallway and ask them how they're doing, they're going to give you an answer. Like a real answer.
Yeah.
Not a, "Great. How are you? Great. Bye."
Yeah.
Like, it's that weird, we do such a weird thing here. I feel like God, I don't like it at all.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up right now, because I literally was having a conversation with somebody about that topic specifically, not about Germans, but about here. Like when you're just going through the motions of things. You don't really mean it. Like, if you're like, "Oh, how are you doing?" You go into work, you're like, "Oh, how are you?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm good. Are you?" "Yeah, good." And that's it. It's not like. But then if you were like, I did that one day, right? I do that a lot. So if somebody's like asking, like, "Oh, how are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I had some issues with blah, blah, blah." And I go into the story, and then I could see they're just instantly disconnected.
Right.
They're just like, and then I'm like, you did ask, right? So like we're just putting on this face, like we don't really. And so then my point is, okay, fair enough. Well, then don't ask. Just don't say anything, because obviously if you don't want to connect and you don't want to really find out how someone's day is. And people do that too. Like if you see someone at the grocery store, an old friend from high school or something, and it's hey, how are you? How have you been doing? I haven't seen you in a while. How's your dad? And you're catching up, and you're like, hey, well, here's my number. Let's get together sometime. Let's hang out. And then you don't.
Yeah, they don't really mean it.
They don't mean it, right?
Germans mean it.
I see. I love that. I'm moving to Germany.
Germans mean what they say. They do, and they back it up. And I love that. Is so beautiful about them. I love that about them. And I think that's why when I moved back here, I did so terribly, like adjusting. And because I wanted to be authentic and I wanted to have real conversation, I wanted to be honest, and I didn't want there to be like this. In Germany, it's called oberflächlich, and it's like this surfaced.
Oberflächlich.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Oberflächlich.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway, it's just, they're a beautiful people, and they're so smart. They're such a smart, I mean, they really are.
Yeah,
and
I believe, 100%.
I cannot stand that every single American movie that comes out and the Germans are the bad guys, like all going back to like World War II. I'm like, why? Why do we, that's not, in the ninth grade, we had to go to a concentration camp, and my parents had already taken me to several anyway, but just seeing that side of their history, it's not like they're putting it out there for like, it's like we need to remember what happened so we don't repeat it. Yeah. And I was there when the wall came down, and I will never understand like the tragedy of that and what they felt and what they went through. But I was there when the first piece was taken out. I was actually present. And when the first flow of East Germans started coming over into the West, and people were hugging people, and there were tears, and it was just, I was a child at the time, and I was just watching this unfold in front of me. I was blessed to have a dad that was like super adventurous and like, get a backpack, we're hopping a train, we're going to go to Berlin, and so that was nice.
That's the kind of dad I want to be.
You should be that kind of dad.
Like 100%.
I think you will be.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, but just seeing that unfold, and the newspapers they were passing to them, and candy and flowers, and just like this big, they probably didn't know half the people that were coming through, but people were waiting for their family members to come through. And, when we would go across the border before the wall came down, and you would see the guards with the machine guns, and like some places where you went through, it's like they took your passport way back here and you didn't get it back till way up there. And it was like nobody cracked a smile, and it was just all this, it was very strange. It was very cold. But that's not Germany. That's something that happened, and it's part of their history, and it's important, and it needs to be remembered, and it needs, all of that. But there's so much more to Germany than what, Americans, it just drives me nuts sometimes. But all right, I'll get off my soapbox.
It's just no, you're good. This is what I live for. This is my thing. This is what's gonna make me millions of dollars. Oh man. So I wanted to ask. Obviously, you are a woman of faith.
Yeah.
You're a professed Christian, right?
Well, yeah, I don't really like that word, even though it's used like in the Bible and stuff, but yeah.
Christian?
Yeah, I don't know why I don't like it, but I don't.
Well, okay.
I guess it's because the way that Americans throw the word around, that everybody's a Christian, but anyway.
Yeah, so, okay, well then you're this lady that believes in this guy in the sky with a beard and like a dress on. That was for my atheist friends. They're probably like, yeah, that's right. She believes in fairy tales. What would you say to anybody, whether they're a person of faith or a person with no faith or whatever? What is it? Why is your faith important to you? And how does it I don't know, how does it mold you into the person you are? Or does it even do that? Like, what's the importance to it, to you as a person, as a woman, as a human being?
How much time do we have?
I don't know. Matt, what are we sitting at right now? 55 minutes? Hey.
All right.
We got all the time in the world. We'll just cut out most of this.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. We won't. But no, I feel like a lot of people would wonder. People of faith and people of non-faith.
All right. I'll try to keep it as short as possible.
What does your faith mean to you? And,
All right. So I know who I am without God and without his influence and I know who I am without that because I lived it out. I rejected it for the longest time. And I, to this day, do not like religion. I don't like different denominations and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't like religion. I'm not a fan. And I did not understand for the longest that God is not about religion either. Like, Jesus did not like religion. Jesus didn't like the religious leaders very much. He butted heads with them all the time.
Sure. The Pharisees, right?
Yes. And it's really about a relationship. It's about a relationship with the person who created us, which is pretty big and cool. And he understands me better than I understand myself. And he wants good things for me, not bad things. But I had to change my picture of who God was, because I had a picture of God that was like, way off in the distance and like, don't sin, don't have sex, don't do drugs, don't smoke. Like, and I guess I just kind of grew up with this, okay, well, what can I do? What
Right.
Can I have fun? Like, that kind of thing. Sure. But now that I've grown, like I read my Bible every morning and I love to pray. I love to pray for people, like with them.
Do you pray for me, Amaris?
I don't know if I've ever prayed for you, Mitchell.
You had to think about that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've
See, man, this friendship's just based on lies, bro.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be like, if I just say, yeah, I pray for you all the time, oh my gosh, why? Like, but I don't know. No.
Someone needs to pray for me. I need something.
I will gladly pray with you.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make light of it. Please.
I'd rather pray with you than just wait, like.
Yeah, we can do that too. We
in
can pray
private,
together. We can do yoga
for you. But anyway, no. So it's just a relationship, and it's a relationship that has taught me way more about myself and what I'm capable of, and how beautiful life really is, and what it was meant to be, and how like every person on this planet is valuable. It doesn't matter where they came from, how they grew up. It doesn't even matter like the bad things that they've done. They're still valuable. And I know a lot of people would argue, what about, the person that's done this and that? They're just worthless. And
what are they called? Stone throwers, right?
Yeah, but it's
casting stones.
Yeah, there are people that have done some really horrible, horrible things. But the question behind that for me is always, well, what led them to it? What happened in their life that it took such a drastic turn? I just feel like a lot of times if somebody is mean, it's because they're hurting.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you speak into that hurt?
Perspective thing we were talking about. Yeah.
How do you speak into that hurt? Is there hope? Like for somebody like that? I believe there is.
So, but do you think there's nobody out there that is just a bad egg? They're just bad to the core. There's
I believe in
them.
evil. I believe in evil.
Okay.
But I believe that the enemy is not that person.
Okay.
Right. I think it's, yes, I believe in Satan. So like people like, can you believe? Well, because I read the Bible, I believe the Bible and it's in there. So, that's kind of my answer to that. That's the quick answer to that anyway.
Okay.
So I just think, there's one enemy. There's one, it's not the person sitting across from you,
I'm definitely not your enemy.
No.
Well, I don't know. You've kind of hurt me a little bit in this podcast. You don't pray for me. You don't like TV shows. I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just think, I could never do life without Jesus now. I just couldn't.
Okay.
I just couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to anymore. And it's through things like this. And
yeah, that was beautiful.
How in the world could I have known that all was going to play out, And I have several stories like that. I have several different things. Like really quick. There was this one time I was just like at the end of my rope, and just like I had a moment of just, everybody has this where like you question life and do you really want to be here? Maybe I don't want to be here anymore. Like that kind of thing. And I was outside because I'm always outside.
I can't imagine.
And it starts pouring down rain. And I just thought, really? Like, right now? Really? And and it didn't even look like it was supposed to be raining. Like, it was just the weirdest, like, I just felt like it was a stab at me, like, crush you, child, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then I realized I wasn't getting wet. My hair wasn't wet. My clothes weren't wet. And no, I wasn't standing under anything before you asked me that. But it was pouring down rain and I was completely dry.
Where was this? When did this happen?
This was in Texas.
So it's
Texas,
pouring
I
rain
mean.
and you weren't getting wet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you have video evidence of this?
No. No. I don't.
Oh,
It's one of those things that people go
okay.
like, yeah, right, you were probably on drugs.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, it's just.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm messing with you. I believe you, I guess. I don't know.
And it was in that moment where I was
I believe
just
you,
like,
Amaris.
you know, okay, you're probably there and you're probably telling me that you love me. So thanks for that. And that was before I had really just decided I was going to trust God with my life. I thought God was a good idea. I thought all that was a good idea and it was good for some people and it helped people maybe be better people or something like that. But I didn't connect with that. And I rejected it so harshly because my parents being the missionaries and just like having to be in church every time the doors were open and you're a missionary kid, you need to act a certain way and be a certain way, and I hated that. I always felt like I
Labels.
was in a fishbowl for the world to, like, you know, judge me, and I hated being a missionary kid. So, but I think that's why I rejected it for so long. I was just like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine.
then God showed up in other ways, and he had to show me in ways that I could receive and I could understand that he was real and that he really did care. And that's what he did. So there you
Wow. That was heavy.
go.
No, that was great. That was great. I feel like there's a lot you can take away from that. Even like I said, even if someone's watching this and not a believer, I feel like how can you listen to something like this and not be challenged or touched in some way? In some way. And I'm not promoting religion or anything like that. Like people should do whatever they feel called to do. But that was a really beautiful story, and the thing about the rain is interesting because I would be like, that would be a really cool miracle to witness, a legitimate miracle to where it's raining and you're in it and you're not getting wet. But I love the rain. And I feel like, man, could you do something else, God? Like I like getting rained on. I'm serious. I'm an adult. Every chance I get to go outside, I will play in the rain like a child. I do that.
Oh, my kids love
100%.
it. Yeah.
I'll do it. I take my shoes off and I get out there and I play in the rain. People could probably think I'm crazy and they're raising their eyebrows. Don't knock it until you tried it.
That's right.
Everybody gets older and say, "Oh, I'm an adult now. I can't play make believe. I can't play with action figures. I can't play in the rain. I can't like watch cartoons." Get out of here. Get out of here with it. You can't be my friend.
Who can be your friend?
You know what? I'm gonna start taking a poll and have people like they're gonna have to like fill out this like this questionnaire, and you have to qualify, and then you go through these different stages of qualification, and then if you make it through, and then you see somebody else, you see another one of my friends, and then they have to like approve you, and then you finally get your final interview with me, and then I like sit you down, we sit in a chair, you got to make sure you dress up, and you have a resume, and then I'll be like, okay, well, Amaris. Yeah, it was close, but you met the qualifications, so we're gonna let you. We're gonna let you be in Mitchell's friendship kingdom.
That's garbage. That's garbage.
No, I have not been drinking, ladies and gentlemen. I probably should. Oh my gosh, this has been such an awesome show. This is really great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like, we talked about a lot of cool stuff, and I had a good time. Did you have a good time?
Yeah. I like talking about me. That's, doesn't everybody like talking about themselves?
They do. I think I read an article about human human psychology, about the concept of how people, even if they are the most selfless people, you still subconsciously like to express yourself.
Yeah.
In the form of conversing about your own self, and then it's not a thing about arrogance or whatever. It's just what people do.
Yeah.
Right. So. Man, this is really great. I'm so glad that you came here. There's a lot of other things that I want to talk about, but we try to keep these shows at a certain time. Like maybe, hopefully, at some point, maybe people want to see this longer, and I might like stretch it out to 2 hours. But even then, I don't know if I'd want to have like a broadcasted conversation with somebody for like 3 or 4 hours.
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, you could do that. Make people tune in, so they're like, "Oh, this is part 2 of this conversation," or something. Right. Amaris, it's been such a pleasure. I want to finish this off with what would you say right now, currently, and it could be something as big as, I don't know, as big as you want it to be, or something as small. What is something that you're wrestling with right now, personally?
Personally, wrestling with.
Yeah. And it could be as big or as small as you. It could be multiple things, or it could be nothing at all.
No,
Which
I
isn't
always
true because
wrestle
everybody
with
wrestles
things.
with something.
Yeah, I always wrestle with things. Um, Probably the thing I'm wrestling with the most is being the mom of a teenage daughter. I wrestle with that a lot.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, but I really try hard to, instead of, I don't really believe in disciplining children over and over and over, because there's a reason why they're doing certain things. And when you're just giving them punishment for everything that they're doing, it's not hitting the core of why they're doing what they're doing.
Okay.
So I'm a strong believer in, like, all right, my daughter just did this. I need to go to her room and spend more time with her. And I need to figure out what's going on that would cause her to do that. And so I try really hard to be, I know people, you're not supposed to be your kid's friend. No, you're not supposed to be your kid's friend. They have plenty of friends. They need a mom and they need a dad, and they do.
Right.
And I believe that. But I also believe in, going to the child and getting on that level and saying, what's going on? I love you. And my daughter and I, we do talk. And she, she's been able to tell me things that I never would have told my mom. I mean, really, and not to that's not like saying that my mom didn't do a good job. She did a great job. It's just, instead of, just this is what you did, now you have the consequences. This is, that's not how I do things. But it is tough taking yourself back to that place of like teenagehood and how you felt then, and trying to relate to that, especially because things are so different now than what they were when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my biggest struggles right now, is just really trying to connect and help her navigate through this part of her life. And I remember how hard it was for me getting through this part of life. Like, she's 14, and that is a tough age for a girl.
Like I said, I can't imagine. I don't know. I've always wanted a daughter, but then I feel like the moment I have one, and then it gets to that point, I'll be like, is there any way I can put her back?
They are the best. Like,
I'm sure,
I love my daughters. And I have a son, and he's awesome too. He's awesome. And he calls me every day. My son calls me every day, and I love that. And I just, I have just a really, really strange connection with one of my daughters in a good way. Like, and the other one's still really young, and hopefully that will develop, with her too as time goes on. But it's trying to take a person and help them be, grow up to be. That's tough.
It's a heck of
hard
an undertaking.
work.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking.
It is.
Sure.
But it's so rewarding, and it's so fun, and it's so cool. And I'm the kind of mom, I don't tell my kids, go outside and, whatever, and I stay in the house. We go to the lake together. We go, we do things. I go out and hiking with them all the time, and we ride bikes, and they go run with me sometimes when I run. And my oldest one's too lazy to run, so she gets on her bike and she rides her bike while I run, and that kind of thing. And we do things together like every day.
Yeah.
And I love it.
God, I wish you were my mom. All my mom does is yell at me and get mad when I don't overeat. That's a Vietnamese joke. Anybody watch that knows about Vietnamese culture? Boom.
Can you talk like your mom for a second?
Let me think about that. My friend's over there. He's laughing. One of my other best friends, Thomas, he can imitate my mom perfectly. So much to the point, one day he called me from his own phone, and he started talking, and for literally maybe like a second, it fooled me. Like, it fooled my brain. But I knew it was his number, because his number came up and it said his name. But then when I answered, he was like, hey, boy. And the way he did it, the tone, everything, like, my brain was like, Mom. And then I was like, oh. And then I started making up a scenario, like, oh, obviously he probably saw her at like the store, and then she asked if she could borrow his phone because she needed to call me. And then as he started talking, I was like, this is my friend. And I was like, oh my gosh, he legitimately fooled me. He legitimately fooled me for like a second. Like, because my mind was making up the scenario about why my mom would be using his phone. So anyways, so it would be like, hey, Micho, hey, call me back, boy. I can't ever get hold of you. You never call me back. I love you, bye. I don't know. I butchered it. It's something like that.
Oh.
That's her. I want you to sign us off. Say, if you can, thank you for watching the Wrestling Diaries in German.
Danke, dass ihr alle jetzt zugeschaut haben bei Wrestling Diaries und hoffentlich sehen wir euch nächste Woche.
I feel like that was a lot more than what I asked you to say.
It was just a little bit more.
What was the rest of it? You going to tell me?
And hopefully we'll see you again.
Oh my
next week.
gosh.
How often do you do this? Like,
We do this once a week.
okay, then I was
So,
right. All right.
I want you definitely got to come back on the show again. You got way too many stories to tell. I got to bottle this up. This good content. Amaris, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Mitchell.
Thank you for anybody that watched and for the people that didn't. Goodbye.